Hi, welcome to the Middle School Algebra Curriculum Night presentation. My name is Mr. Schwen, and I am obviously not here right now. Please leave your message. No, just kidding. So in this video, I'm going to be going through some of the main ideas of our class, and maybe you're also viewing this after the presentation as a reminder of some of those things. First of all, I'm using Google Chrome as my web browser right now, which is a free download. Another one that's pretty effective and works consistently is Firefox. I would not recommend using Internet Explorer for a lot of the applications and uses that we're going to be looking at in our class throughout this year. So first thing, on getting to our classroom page, best and easiest way is just to Google Mr. Schwen. Make sure that you spell it right, because I have no guarantees on what you get if you don't. S-C-H-W-E-N. And it should be the first result that'll get you to our district class page. So if you click on that link, and this is middle school algebra. So on this page you're seeing just kind of some background information on me, how I went to Bethel University, the best school ever, and some information about my family and just about how I'm excited to be your student and child's teacher for this year. At the bottom, this is actually the class calendar for the middle school algebra page. So anytime a student is gone, they can go into here. Sometimes there will be details. If you click on that, there might be some links or other specific information in here. This one, though, for this week, everything that we're doing is just in these headings here. You can also subscribe to this if you're familiar with electronic calendars and have those things come to you automatically without needing to come to this web page. Back up here, this is the link that most students are going to click on just about every single time they come to this page. So this would also be a good thing just to bookmark on your home computer or personal device. When you click on this, if you are signed into a different account, it's going to say that you need to request access if you're in a public non-district Anoka Hennepin user account. So what you'll need to do then is sign out of that account and then try clicking on that link again. If you click on it and you get to this page here, then that means that you are signed in correctly. So after a student clicks on there and they're signed in, I try to highlight the current unit that we're in, which this is my first time going through the course, teaching it in the order that we are doing it, so I'm having to remake the electronic stuff. So right now there's only one unit to click on, but it is still highlighted. Also on here you have course videos, so let's look at those first before we go into the unit. So let's say you or your students are at home and they're trying to figure out what we've been doing in class, and you saw on the calendar that we've been working with the Pythagorean theorem. If I type in Pythagorean, or I even type in theorem, maybe that would get me close. Or you could type in right triangles, and you could see every video that I've made on right triangles. So I can also filter this farther by just choosing the things that are specific to our algebra course, because I do have some things in there for geometry as well. And then it has these three links. These are videos that are me talking through and showing some examples of how to do some of the things that we've been working on in class. So that's there anytime. More specifically though, let's look at what we've been working on in the last 2 weeks here. There's some learning targets that kind of are an overview of what each lesson is. These explore links are what we've been working on in class and trying to build understanding for students instead of just them copying a math teacher doing the work and trying to remember all that. We're trying to actually give them something to hang their understanding on. And then there's obviously some practice opportunity too, where they're applying that and trying to get it into a more structured kind of an application. So today, and this is Monday that I'm recording this right now, we were working on rediscovering the Pythagorean theorem and finalizing an activity of that. And students were working on this GeoGebra link with their computers. Tonight, and a lot of times the homework at home will be electronic, just because I like that it kind of tells them if they're correct or not right away, and will give them some feedback. So if you click on this highlighted one, and anytime there's a homework assignment, I try to have that link highlighted as well. it will launch a question, and these numbers are randomly generated, and they'll hopefully be different each time. But it's asking the students to find, if they know AC is 20 and AB is 21, they need to come up with what the length of B is. So let's say the student does some work and they come up with thinking that it's 24, and they type in their units of feet. Okay, if they get it wrong and it says no, the answer wasn't 24 feet, it's 24, they're still right. That's just my limited computer programming experience and not being able to program it to know both of those answers are right. So yes, labels are good, units are good, but just for their practice, when they're typing something in, they just need to do the number. That was a source of frustration in the first week. Another thing is, I don't get the results from this. This is purely for their practice. So as they're working on this at home, it's just to give them some instant feedback and help if they need it. Across the top, there are stars. If they do 10 questions and they're at 80% or better, it'll get them up to 2 stars. And if they do 20 questions and they're 90% or better, that'll get them to that 3-star level. Anytime they're above 70% on any number of questions, that'll be at least a 1 star. And the idea is, with our grading practices, 70% or better understanding on a learning target is showing that they've got a pretty good idea of what's going on. So if I click on check here, it says, sorry, you're not correct, but then it also gives some help on what I could have done. So I could have done 20 squared plus 21 squared equal to the hypotenuse length, or that c squared, and I would get 841, and then it tells me I should have taken the square root to come up with 29, and that should have been what I typed in as my answer. Okay, and then here's another kind of question like that, just written in a different way, again getting at some of the terminology of what we've been talking at in class, and giving them some feedback on how they're doing with that. When they're doing their work at home, they should write what question type number they're doing it from, but then they should also be doing some diagrams or writing their thinking down and how they're coming up with the answer. Because obviously a student could just come to here and they could write down on their paper question 2, and they could write what the right answer is, number 41, but they might not have done any thinking in between there. My interest is in their thinking and not just having a right answer on their paper. For our calendar, we did that. We have Chromebooks in class every single day, and a Chromebook is really just a laptop that doesn't have a hard drive, but it also really quickly and easily accesses things like internet resources. You can also add apps to them, which is kind of neat. So if I open up another window here and I go, and I'm in Chrome right now, you have to be in Chrome to do these apps on them, but you can also do this at home. One app that I like to use a lot in class for algebra and geometry is called GeoGebra, and it's free. You can add it to your Chrome browser. Some students were actually using this today in class, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it right now with this computer. That looks like I am. And it just makes an interactive way of working with the math that we're doing in class. So I'm going to send kids to this in class sometimes. As often as we can, we're going to try to be interactive and using those computers to extend the learning and make it a little more interesting and exciting than just doing problems on paper. And I think that helps too with building their understanding. For grading, and I'm going to have a handout for you tonight on this too, but any of these learning targets, when we get to the end of a series of learning targets, there's going to be a quiz. And in this quiz that we're going to be having on the 16th, that's going to be covering these learning targets. And it's going to be broken up into 2 parts. And if they pass all the learning targets, then they are good. But if they don't pass one or both of the learning targets, they need to do some extra learning. Show me that they've increased their understanding of it in a way of like working out problems, showing me some of their class notes, or maybe sitting down with me and talking to me about what they know. When they get to that point, then they can retake that that quiz again. They only get one retake opportunity, so it's really important that they're thinking of that first quiz as, this needs to be my best effort. In case something goes wrong, then yes, I have a retake. But don't just think, oh, the first one doesn't matter, Mr. Schwen said I can retake it, because then it's like they're turning that retake into their first test if they said the first one didn't really matter, and then they're stuck. How the learning targets will work is they need to get, and I'm just going to type it here for a visual, they need 70% or better to pass a learning target. And if they reach that 70% or better, we enter, and I say we because the other algebra teachers are doing the same thing, the actual score. If they are lower than 70%, then we comment need to retake. And there will not be a score put into the gradebook as kind of a flag of, this is a big deal, we need to make sure that we get this understood better. Because I think we'd all agree if they know less than 70% of the content, they don't have a good enough understanding of it to retain it long enough to do well on other important tests and to be able to apply it for our future learning, because a lot of what we're going to be doing in this class is going to be built on top of previous knowledge. I think that's about it. If I missed any questions, or if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to get back to you. In this day and age, it's easier for me to respond quickly by email, because I can do that whether that there's students in the room or not. Otherwise, my school phone number, I think, is on my class website as well. In case you want to direct, if you want to write my email down right now, right there, Andrew Schwen at anoka.k12.mn.us. Bottom line, I love teaching. I don't want to do anything else, and I enjoy it mostly because I enjoy working with kids and getting to know them. And I also like the math, but I think having an interest in getting to know your students, I think makes that a whole lot easier as well. So please, I hope this was an informative video, and let me know if you have any questions for sure. Have a good night.